Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Alyx King. Today is Thursday, April the 4th, 2019. It's 8 a.m. in New York. It's 5 a.m. in Los Angeles. It's 1 p.m. in London. Sydney, Australia, you're around 12 midnight. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And the only unhappy thing today is that Joel is on vacation. He's at the bench at Santa Maria Island in Florida and having a great time, I'm sure. But his gain is our loss because we don't get him this week to have our usual wonderful conversations. But at the very last minute, my good friend Alyx said, you know what, I'll step in there and I'll do the job, which is great because I'd actually tried to get two other people during the week, you know, knowing I needed to fill this gap. And they both said yes. And then they both said, oh, wait a minute, no, I can't do it. And then I forgot about it. And then I woke up this morning and sat down like, okay, I'm going to talk to Joel. And it comes to 8 o'clock, like, oh, my God, I forgot. Joel's not going to be here. I wonder if Alyx will step in.
When in doubt, Alyx out.
I tell you. Wow, it's fabulous. So thank you. I really do appreciate it.
No problem.
And I don't know if you saw, I sent you an email this morning. You may not have seen it yet.
I was reading it as you were texting me. I was like, what is going on? I'm getting Walt from all directions here.
From all directions. Because I've been thinking about it. I actually was having a little bit of an Alyx moment last night because I was awake in the middle of the night and thinking about what we'd written so far for this fiction podcast that we're doing, The Grass is Green. And I was thinking about that ending, and I was saying, something's not right there. I don't know what's not right. I just kept working on it, and I finally realized it all kind of pieced together for me. So that's what I was sending that email about. So when you get a chance, go through all that and see if it makes sense to you. See if you agree. If you agree with the general.
No, I went through it and I totally agree. But my whole thing is that I wanted to cut it off right there because I wanted her meltdown to be in episode 2.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I wanted to do the episode 1 as where the meltdown shows is because I want the audience to emotionally attach to our lead protagonist, Nance, so that they come back for episode 2.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
We can actually continue the meltdown at the beginning of episode 2. That actually works.
Yeah, we can like go to cut the. Well, it's a podcast. You can't cut to black, but
it's always black, right?
It's always black.
I can't see anything.
But yeah, we can cut it off in like mid meltdown, so people tune in for episode 2.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's what I was realizing. And it isn't just Nance. I was realizing we need to do it with all the characters. We need to make sure that there's enough of a hook in each one of those characters that they want to know more about them. They want to attach them. So I'm going to write that section I told you about where I'm going to have MJ and Lana have a little interchange so we can get to know MJ a little bit and see a little bit about Lana's issues too. But then I'm going to go through all that we've written again after that, and I'm going to go through like section by section and ask ourselves, okay, I'm going to ask myself, are we making connection here? Are we making connection here? Are we making connection here? I want to go through the whole thing and just make sure we're giving the audience all kinds of ways to connect into our characters. Because that's what's going to come back, right?
Because that's the good thing about a pilot is you get to decide which character you emotionally attach to the most.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. You're like, oh, like for instance, in Vampire Diaries, I know you don't know the show, but, there's a good brother and a bad brother, but that's the struggle through the whole series is which brother is the good brother, which brother, and which one's your favorite and which one do you like and which one do you prefer. So, so you struggle from episode 1, and that's what makes a good show.
Right. That's right. Exactly right. Yeah. And especially since Nance is our lead protagonist, I mean, we have a number of here, but she's the lead protagonist. Yeah. She's the one we want as many people as possible to attach to. So that's why I figured she's got to have the biggest emotional reaction to everything that's going on, which actually fits the character because she's emotionally immature. So, of course, she can have a reaction. That makes it actually easy.
Yeah.
It's not like we have to work at it. Like, whoa, big reaction, over the top.
Not a problem.
Not a problem.
I have at least 3 of those a week. I'm fine. I'll figure it out.
Writing from experience is always a good thing, I can tell you that.
Exactly.
So, good. Okay, well, we got our work cut out for us for the next day or two then as we try to finish off this episode. But
did you read my editing for AK and Nance's conversation?
I haven't had the chance to do that. That was what I was going to do after this morning's podcast.
Okay.
But yes, I'll do that next. Yeah. In fact, I'm looking forward to finding out, because you're right. I mean, I have absolutely no clue what kind of actual dialogue was on.
I was dying because I was reading yours and I was like, I swore I said AK was a 32-year-old black woman, not a 65-year-old Jewish woman. But that's how it reads. So I was like, okay.
But I don't know how to write a 32-year-old black woman. I don't know that many. I mean, you're in that same range, so you're the first. But
yeah, that's why I said he doesn't. That's why I was saying to myself, I was like, this is why I'm in Walt's life. I was like, let me just edit this.
That's exactly what I want you. I'm actually going to try to get Carlos and Drew involved too, so that they can bring their younger perspectives as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you need that.
Yeah.
I know what it was like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And the experience.
I mean, you were on the right track. It's strictly just the slang words that were put in that I had changed.
I don't even know the slang words. I had to use the ones that I know. I don't know what they use at your age. I don't know. I have no clue.
I was like, I don't know any 32-year-old who is schlepping someone around. I was like, what?
And as I wrote that, I knew that. As I was writing the word schlepping. I knew that. Do you?
I do, but I grew up in a Jewish town, so I
knew it was the wrong word, but I also knew that would be like a placeholder for you to see and say, okay, I got to write something different, and that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
So because I didn't know what you would say, It's like,
we're a good team. We're a good team.
Do I just keep contacting Alex? So Alex, what would you say in this situation? I mean, that's not how you write a script. You just say,
just write the whole
I'm
thing.
writing it, or you're writing
it. We'll go over it. It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's quite an experience. This is interesting.
It is. Yeah.
This is also the first thing. Good. I'm glad because I am too. This is the first time I've ever tried to write something collaboratively too, which is different.
Same for me.
You ever done it before? First for you? Okay. Yeah. It's
unless
a very
you count like group projects in high school. That's about it.
Well, yeah.
And even then I was like, I'll do it and just let me do it.
Go away. I got it.
Exactly. I was like, no, yours doesn't go with mine. Just let me do it.
Yeah, it's good. It's quite a different experience, and it kind of pushes you, because you have to be really true to what it is that you're talking about with the other person that you're writing with. You both have to be completely on the same page. You may not, like in this case, I didn't know how to do the actual dialogue because I didn't know how the 32-year-old would talk, and you know that.
Right.
But the storyline we had to be on the same page on.
Yes, definitely.
Which is good. Yeah. And so that's when it works, which is good. I like it. I hope the audience likes it by the time. I mean, all the work we're putting in on this, I hope they like it by the time we're done. They better.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
I think so, yeah. I kept thinking about how one of the best strengths you bring is that you do your podcast on TV spoilers.
Yeah.
Which means you're constantly focusing on plot lines and character development and interactions and all that. You're doing that all the time. I think, boy, what a great trait to bring to script writing. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's so true.
And then I didn't even know when we first started the project. I found this out, I think it was last week, that you had done theater work in high school.
Yep, after high school a little bit.
After high school? Yeah. I mean, I knew you'd done a little stand-up comedy, but I didn't realize you had the theater background. I thought to myself, wow, is this the other way or what? This is perfect. Because I never did theater work. My sister did. I never did. So I kind of learned it vicariously. I didn't actually do it directly myself. But having somebody who's actually done it, that really helps a lot.
Yeah.
So this is good. We may be the most odd couple script writing team of all time, but that'll be okay.
But that's how it works. You know what I mean? You got to get two opposites.
Yeah.
Opposites attract. In any relationship, that's how it works.
Even if it's not opposites, just completely different perspectives, different viewpoints.
Yeah, different views. Yeah.
They could be. I could be out in Alpha Centauri, and you could be here on Earth, and it works.
We'll meet somewhere in the middle. It's all about compromise.
Yeah, Yeah, yeah. I'll meet you on Jupiter. We'll be fine.
I actually like Jupiter.
Do you?
I do. But I
How
prefer
come?
Saturn because I like rings.
Ah, yes. Of course. Well, Jupiter has rings.
Does it? No, that's the giant one. It doesn't have rings, does it?
It really does. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have the rings like Saturn has. Saturn has really
Oh,
spectacular rings. But
yeah,
Jupiter
yeah,
really
yeah.
does have rings. They're just very ephemeral. They're very, very
Oh,
slight.
all right.
But it
I
really does.
guess.
It's got planets too.
Well, therein lies the compromise. See?
I love it. Of course, Jupiter also has a whole bunch of moons too that may be part of it. I'm not sure how all that works. I'm not an astronomer.
Neither am I.
So we're winging it again.
Yeah.
So let's see. I don't see any questions from the audience. I'd say we can just kind of go whatever direction we want to go today. We could continue developing the plot line of what we're talking about. We could just go into general Q&A. I mean, what do you want to do? I always come up with it. Do you have any preference of what direction you want to go?
I actually have a question that I thought of when I woke up this morning, and I was like, wait, which is ironic that we're podcasting today, because I was like, I wish I was on the podcast today so I could ask Walt this question. And then buzz.
Isn't the law of attraction wonderful? I mean,
It's amazing.
It just comes right to you.
Yeah. I told you, I'm a great manifester. Like, it's just, things just work out for me.
So what was the question?
So my question is, what is your hidden talent?
My hidden talent?
Yes.
Oh God, I think I'm still trying to find it. It's hidden. It's well hidden.
Maybe not hidden. What is a talent that you have that people, like most generalized audience, wouldn't know that you have?
Would know or would not know?
Would not know.
Would not know? Oh, geez. Hidden talent that the audience wouldn't know. I don't know. I've let out so much stuff. I'm not sure what. All I can think of, and probably the people who listen the most know this already.
Mm-hmm.
But most of my life, for reasons that pass all understanding, because I've never really figured out why, I've always been somebody who was able to attract, not able to, it's not like I did it deliberately, I just, by who I am, I attracted people to come talk to me who needed help.
Same.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it bewildered me. I didn't understand sometimes it still does.
Yeah.
But they just kind of come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I actually, there was here's an example of it. It was one of the earlier ones in my life. When I was in college, it was my first year of college.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the State University of New York at Buffalo for my first year. After that, I transferred to Colgate University. The reason being that Buffalo was such a party school that I wasn't getting anything done there, so I had to go somewhere where I could actually get work done.
Wait. Time out. There's a college named after toothpaste.
Oh, yeah. It's the same family, actually.
Shut up!
The family that created Colgate-Palmolive, the same family created the college. It was two brothers. One brother created the company, the other one created the school.
Well, look at that. I just learned something new today.
And they created that back in the mid-19th century. So it's been around quite some time. Yeah.
I would say.
Colgate is known as, Colgate is one of a handful of schools that are known as the almost Ivy League schools. It's a very high quality.
Almost Ivy League. I like that.
Not quite Ivy League quality, but close. I mean, you have to have really high SAT scores to get in there.
Okay.
And it's very competitive, and it's kind of an intense, pressure-packed place to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, my first year I was at Buffalo, and there was a lot that I was dealing with personally, but Buffalo had, within a few years before I got there, they had built a new campus.
Mm-hmm.
With some very strange architecture, really strange architecture. But it was out in what they call the Ellicott complex, which is, Ellicott City is like a suburb of Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we lived. And they had these dorms. There were four quadrangles, four dorm sets. And one of the quadrangles. We lived in the Fargo quadrangle, and each of the quads had a 10-story tower, and then the rest of the buildings were all 2 or 3 stories. So it was like these little castle turrets that were all over the place. Really strange. And one day, I mean, it was all dormitories. So one day I decided, well, I was just going to go up the Fargo tower to the 10th floor and just see what was up there. And I knew there'd be like just a couple apartments up there, and not much else. But I rode the elevator up, and sure enough, there were just a couple of student apartments, and not much going on. I'm looking out the window; you can see in all directions, so that was kind of cool. And then this other person shows up on the elevator, a young woman. She comes to the top and sees me there and mutters some apology, and said, "Oh no, it's okay. I'm just kind of here looking out the window." And she steps out of the elevator, and she's got this really distressed, really distressed. And so I'm asking her what's going on, and she was kind of she wasn't terribly clear-minded. So the stuff that was coming out of her mouth didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Was she going to jump?
That's what she was trying to do.
I knew it. See, this is why I'm good at TV. I'm good at guessing the ending.
And, I mean, I had absolutely no training of any kind with any of this.
Right.
I had no idea what to do. And so I just started talking to her.
Yeah, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Did a lot of listening. And, I was following my nose and doing all the right things without realizing. I had no idea. I was just kind of going with the flow. And I ended up talking her down.
Wow.
Ended up talking her down. And the interesting thing is, and I never totally figured this out. It kind of makes sense to me, but I never totally figured it out. I talked her down. We went to lunch together, and then I never saw her again.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that would have bonded you guys for life.
That's what I would have thought of too, but as I think back on it, actually it kind of makes sense because, if you're her and you've gone through that experience, after the fact...
Yeah, you don't want the reminder.
You don't want the reminder, yeah. But the thing that was really interesting is it wasn't that we deliberately decided not to have lunch or not to talk again. Literally, I never saw her again.
Yeah.
Like, physically, I never saw her presence anywhere in any of the buildings ever again. Now, I was only there for one school year, but even so, you would have thought somewhere along the line I would have seen her. And I never did. It was strange.
Wow.
Yeah. But that was like the first major incident, and then after that, it was like one thing after another. I could count on 2 or 3, maybe 4 people a year finding me and engaging me in conversation because they felt safe to tell me about all these crazy things that were going on in their lives. And I didn't understand why. Now, bear in mind, today I'm much more outgoing than I was then. Then I was an introvert.
Yeah.
So figure that one out.
Right.
He isn't even willing to talk hardly. And these people are coming to me and talking to me like, really? So I don't, you explain that one. I can't explain it. All I know is that it's happened all my life.
This is what you're when you were a celestial being. This is what the life that you chose. You chose to come down here and help people.
I guess so.
They're attracted to your spirit.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just that simple.
Yeah.
Although 40 years ago, I wouldn't have called that simple. I would have called that wacky, but nevertheless.
Yeah. Because now here you are doing a podcast and helping people, hundreds of people every day.
And if I had tried to predict that 40 years ago, I would have called that wacky too. That was definitely not in the cards.
So what I got from that story was quadrangles is the long word for quad. That's what quad means? Quadrangles?
Yeah.
Learned something else new today.
That's where quad comes from. Exactly.
Because with my autism, when I hear a very interesting word, that's like my word of the day. I have to say it over and over and over, and like it's stuck in my head, and it goes in this file called interesting words that I like they roll off my tongue. So if it feels good in my mouth, I like to say it over and over. So quadrangles is my word of the day.
It is one of those cool words because it's not a word that you hear every day. So when it kind of flows off the tongue, quadrangle, it sounds like you're really intelligent or something. You're a super being because you know the word quadrangle. Yeah,
I feel cool for knowing it.
It's like what Robin Williams said. He says, "I can say the word delicatessen and I know what I mean by it."
That's true. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, quadrangles. There you go. Now you got your first hashtag. Actually, it's probably not your first one, but you got a hashtag.
Nah, it's like the third, but it's going in there.
So does that qualify as an answer to your question, though? I mean,
Yes,
is
it
that
does. That was a very good answer. I liked it.
okay? Okay. How about you? Is there anything that I'll turn the question around on you? Is there anything that we don't know about that is a kind of a cool thing about you?
Uh, Other than my acting background, I am classically trained and can play some instruments by ear.
Really? What instruments do you
Yes.
play?
Uh, um, Originally I was trained on the violin, but then I only dropped it for a little while because I was like, I don't really like it.
Hmm.
And my parents were like, I'm not going to pay for it. She doesn't like it. And then
Yeah.
when I got into, the introductory part of elementary school where they're like, oh, do you want to learn an instrument? You got to pick one. So
Mm-hmm.
fourth grade. And so I've been classically trained on the clarinet, which
Hmm.
branched off to bass clarinet. And then one day I just picked up the flute and started playing stuff that I heard.
Oh,
Like I
nice.
was just playing theme songs. I don't know what the notes are. I don't know where my fingers are supposed to go, but I hear it and I can play it.
So you don't actually have training in reading sheet music and all that. You just
I do. Yeah.
oh, you do. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Because when you say classically trained, that's what I would think of as normally learning how the
Yes,
sheet music works, the
I can read
staff.
sheet music. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
But other than the clarinet and bass clarinet, other instruments, except for the trumpet, I can't get the hang of the lip thing. I can't.
That's hard. I
And
tried that one time.
there's
It's
only
hard.
3 buttons, but they make so many sounds.
Yeah.
They do so many things.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. When you said that you were classically trained, but you didn't know the notes, I guess what you meant is you didn't know what fingering matched up with
Yes,
what notes on the scale.
exactly.
I got it. Okay. Yeah.
I do on the clarinet, but every
Hmm.
other instrument that I pick up is I'm playing by ear.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, fortunately, too, with the flute, it's kind of like a piano in a sense, in that it's just
Yeah,
which stop are you on? It's just all in a row, so that kind of
I
makes
can
it
do
for the most
I can
part.
do it with piano too.
Are you a pianist?
I have piano fingers.
Yeah, piano fingers. Okay, well that's good. I got piano fingers too.
I can play a few things on the piano, simple stuff, but will you be getting any music from me? Probably not. Probably not.
Mm,
I'm more
yeah.
into drums than I am into the
Oh, okay.
piano. Yeah.
Well, I was originally a pianist. I told you I
Yeah.
was a rock guitarist, and that was true, but that wasn't really my love. My love was more piano, but I was a pianist at the
Mm.
time when it was not popular to play piano.
Uh-huh.
This was when a few years after I'd been playing and I had almost got to the point I was ready to quit, Billy Joel came out. And that
Mm.
was like shocking. You had a
Mhm.
rock star who was a piano player and
Yeah.
the piano man.
Mhm.
And even then it wasn't totally accepted.
Oh,
It's like,
he's the
oh,
piano man?
yeah, Billy Joel's the piano man. Sing us a song.
That's
Go to
the
piano.
third thing I learned today.
That was his first hit song. Sing us a song. You're the piano
Well,
man.
that's what I know the song. I
That's
couldn't
Billy
put two and
Joel.
two together. All right. Well, that's
That's
the
his
third
first
thing I
one.
learned today.
Yeah. And then Billy Joel, he kind of laid the groundwork, and a few years later, all of a sudden, we had Elton John. Well,
Mm.
they just kind of spiraled from there.
He's got a movie coming out about his life. Have you seen the trailer?
Elton John?
Yeah.
No kidding. Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm not an Elton John fan, but the movie looks really good. Like, it looks like it's very Bohemian Rhapsody-ish, but it looks really good.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Good for him. That's
Hmm.
great. But yeah, I gave up because I mean, I was very much like most kids. I was very highly influenced by what was culturally popular, and at
Nah,
the
not
time,
me.
it was all about. Well, I'm glad. Good for you. That's good. That's healthy. But I wasn't healthy when I was a kid. I really wasn't. I was some ways I was, but in other ways I wasn't. And I just didn't feel confident in myself to pursue a career on the keyboard, so I didn't. But I kind of wish I had. I haven't played piano in God regularly 45 years. I mean, it's been a
Hmm.
long time. I took lessons for like 7 or 8 years, so I got pretty good at it. But I just stopped
Yeah.
playing. And I keep thinking to myself, it'd be kind of cool to get well, first of all, to get a grand piano. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, we have to have the house to put the grand piano in.
I was
But
gonna say, you're living close quarters for a grand piano. Maybe a baby grand. I don't know.
well, I've played both, and a grand piano is actually much more fun. I know it sounds strange, but it really is more fun. But then I'd also want to have an electric piano, and I'd like to have a synthesizer, and then just see what I could play with.
So you just want a whole full-out studio?
Yeah, it'd be fun. Just to see if I could do it, just to see what I could come up with. Because I think after all these years, I've probably built up enough life experience that I could start expressing some stuff that would be really me, which I couldn't do when I was young. When I was young, I was always trying to express what everybody else was doing. The big thing at the time was rock and roll. Especially during that time, it was mostly, hard rock or heavy metal rock, that kind of thing. And so that's what I felt like I had to do. And I even then I couldn't do that. I ended up playing a little bit lighter versions of stuff, but it wasn't me. I was playing music that wasn't me. And so I burned out, not surprisingly. But I'd like to go back and try that sometime. So that's one of my things to attract into my life. Musical instruments with keyboards so that I can play with them, see what I can do.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
In my town, we nurture the, theater and art and music because that's what our school, I mean, I didn't go to like a theater school, but we, the activities that were offered definitely catered to, the more artistic people in the school. But there were clubs for everything. There were clubs for everything. But yeah, I did show choir, I did theater, I was in band for my entire high school career. And yeah, I was very nurtured.
That's great. Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah. I mean, I actually had a friend who kind of sort of went through the same thing you did, only he did it in an unstructured way. He was also a guitarist. He and I took lessons from the same guitar teacher. That's how we met each other. But we went to the same school. Up until that point, we'd been kind of in different social circles entirely, so I didn't really know him. I knew who he was by name. That was about it. But then we got to know each other, and we actually played out together and became really good friends. He actually was the person who convinced me to go to our 40th reunion a few years back, which was really nice. Well, it was nice of him to ask. I didn't really like going to reunions. I've never been a reunion kind of person, but I went because he asked me. And he, in his last year or last 2 years, he was ready to drop out of high school. And the school principal talked him into staying. And Gary was adamant, like, he wasn't going to take any classes. He wasn't going to do anything like that. The only thing he wanted to do was to pursue his music career.
Yeah.
And so the principal convinced him, well, tell you what, if you come to school every day, you can play music in the music department all you want. We'll give you like one of those little practice rooms. You can practice in the practice room. You can do that just as long as you stay in school. And if you stay in school, then you can graduate. That was their deal.
That's a sweet deal.
It's a really sweet deal. I didn't even know he'd made that deal. He told me about this a few years ago. I said, why the hell didn't I know about this?
Well, then everybody would have been asking for it.
Well, exactly. Yes. Well, not me, actually. I was too brainwashed. I couldn't have asked for that. But a lot of people would have. No, I was. I was really brainwashed. It was terrible. But, yeah, that's what he did his last year or two, and it also explains why I didn't see him much the last year or two, because I wasn't taking any music classes, so I never saw him.
Right.
Crazy. Yeah, and he ended up, he didn't have a big music career, but it did last a few years, and he ended up playing in some bands and making a living for a little while doing that, and then he became a karate instructor. So, life changes.
I did that too.
That's right, yeah, you said that. You were into karate also. Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, he ran a karate school. He put together a karate school.
What's
and ran it for a number of years. Gary Greenwood.
No, this is not familiar. Okay.
This would not have been in the same area you were in. This would have been in upstate New York, so a few hundred miles to the west. Yeah. But he actually got married, and he and his wife did that for a number of different years, and then they broke up, and the school broke up, and all that. But I guess he did that for like 10 years, something like that. He ran that school. Yeah. So good for him. So let's see. What else are we going to question? What else would we tell each other about that we don't know about? Maybe this is truth or dare or something. A game that I have to admit did not exist when I was growing up. This is this is more of have you ever? Yeah, that's what this have
is
you
more
ever?
of a have you ever.
Have you ever? Okay. So all right. So what, are there any rules to have you ever, or is it just whatever?
Well, it's really a drinking game. So
well,
the
I've got my
rules.
water here.
I got my drink. Yeah, okay.
There we go.
So,
Okay, so we can do that.
So the rules are you take turns going and you say, it's supposed to be played in a group, but there's two of us. It's fine. People are listening. They can play too. And okay. So the one person asks, is it have you ever or I have never? Or, no, it's have you ever. Have you ever? And then you state something, doesn't matter what it is. So I would say, have you ever popped a balloon? Or, okay. I mean, usually the question is a little more risque than that, but so have I ever popped a balloon? And if you have, you take a drink. If you haven't, you stay sober. So the lamer you are, the more sober you stay.
That's a very, very safe game for somebody who wants to get absolutely plastered. That works really well.
Yeah, it is. No, it's never have I ever. That's the name of the game.
Never have I ever.
Okay. Never have I ever. Yes.
So, never have I ever. That's kind of a negative inversion. So how does it go now?
So it's never have I ever been caught stealing. Okay. So if you have, you take a drink. If you haven't, you just sit there.
Okay. So if you're saying that to me and I say, no, I haven't, then I'm just sitting here. In other words, I'm not going to get anything to drink.
No, both of us answer the question.
Oh, I see. We both do. Okay. All right. Well, no, I've never been caught, so I guess I don't get a drink.
Well, I just took a sip, so.
Okay. Now, if you ask the question differently, never have I ever actually stolen something, I can actually say yes to that. I took a stapler one time.
You would steal a stapler.
I mean, it was a really high-level theft,
Oh, Grand Theft Stapler. Oh, my God.
Make matters worse, it was a used stapler.
Oh, my God.
It wasn't even new.
Oh, my God. That's the hashtag, Grand Theft Stapler.
Talk about lame, right?
Seriously. I just picture you at Home Depot just looking in your overcoat, looking real shady. With your 6'8" self. Like, that's a shiny one.
I don't know how to tell you this, but if you're 6'8", you can't remain unobtrusive. It doesn't work.
Exactly.
I mean, there's just no way to do that. You can wear all the overcoats you want.
You might as well take the stapler and be damned if you do,
Well, first of all, if you can find a stapler at Home Depot, you're doing really well. But in general,
I meant to say Office Depot.
Oh, Office Depot. Okay, yeah. Well, that one probably works.
I was thinking Home Depot because I want to paint my room, so I'm thinking Home Depot.
Well, if you can find a stapler in Home Depot, it's probably for stapling wallboard to a stud in the wall.
Yeah, it's probably a staple gun. Yeah. Yeah. Those things are awesome.
You can kill people with that. Anyway.
Yeah, terrible. Terrible.
That's awful. Staple murderer strikes again. So we're definitely in territory here. But yeah, no, I'm serious. Anything that would involve me trying to be
inconspicuous
in the background, inconspicuous, yeah, it doesn't work. I mean, I tried really hard. Like I said, I was very, very introverted. Yeah. And so I would really go hide in the corner. But it's not like they couldn't see me. I mean, the best chance I had was to find a dark corner. That was the best chance I had.
He lurks in the shadows.
Exactly. And even then, my skin was too light that it wouldn't make any difference anyway.
Oh my God. No, he didn't.
I couldn't hide in the white corner. That wouldn't work. They'd still see me.
Well, it makes you feel better. I'm light-skinned. I can't hide in a dark corner either. I still stick out. When I was younger and I actually went outside and got some sun, I would have been able to do it. But now I can't do it.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Oh, my God.
We're in a really silly mood this morning.
You're in a silly mood every morning I'm on.
Well, that's got to be it then.
Yeah.
It's your influence.
It's definitely me. I'm a terrible influence.
You're a wonderful influence. You're a wonderful influence.
Well,
I
I
love
mean
you. You're
terrible in a
great.
good way.
Hey, I wouldn't have asked you to help me put the series together if I didn't think you had that kind of great influence, because you do.
True, true. I know
I
I
mean,
am kind of
really,
amazing.
you are. Yeah. I told you the story that Louise told me shortly after we met about
Mhm.
how she learned that she was amazing.
No.
She was my wife was a psychotherapist. She
Uh-huh.
did that for about 10 years. And
Mhm.
of course, you have to get training and a degree and all that kind of stuff in order to do that. So when she was getting her master's degree in marriage and family therapy, she had one particular workshop that she went to. It was like a weekend getaway kind of workshop.
Oh, wait, you did tell me this story, but
Can you
continue.
tell us now? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell it briefly then. She went to this workshop and she absolutely adored the guy who was giving the workshop. I mean, everything he was saying made total sense to her. Everything resonated. It's kind of like when we're talking about law of attraction and, it's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's what the experience was for her.
Yeah. Mhm.
Anyway, during a lunch break at one point, she goes up to him and she was also fairly introverted when she was younger too. But
Uh-huh.
kind of her shy way, she went up to him and she just said to him, you're just amazing. And he said to her, well, if I'm amazing, what does that make you? And,
I
and
like this line.
she very quickly thought, well, I'm amazing in training.
Hashtag.
Hashtag. Which was a great answer. What was he going to say to that, right?
Seriously. That's my favorite line of the whole story.
Yeah. And she is amazing. Not just because she's my wife. She really is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
She does some amazing things. She
Speaking
is
of
amazing.
amazing,
What's that?
things are going so well with new boyfriend.
No kidding.
Yes.
This is the guy from who's got the house out on the vineyard, on Martha's Vineyard.
House on the vineyard and a house on the Cape. So he switches off alternate weekends because he has a kid. So I get a weekend off and then I get a weekend on.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just down the road from you too, if I remember correctly.
About 20 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not all that far away.
But when he's on the vineyard, he's about a 45-minute boat ride, and then
Yeah,
he's got to drive from Falmouth to here. So it's a
yeah,
little bit more effort, but I'm worth
yeah.
it.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. But you're right. Falmouth is a whole lot closer than the vineyard just because of that boat ride. That boat ride's a
Yeah,
long trip.
yeah. I know. I was confused because I didn't know the boat situation because from the port that's down the street from my house, you can get to the vineyard. But
Right.
if you want to take your car, you have to go from Woods Hole, which is in Falmouth.
Oh, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
So that's why he has to come from Falmouth.
Right.
So if it's just you and your person, you can leave straight from Hyannis.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also a third route from where is it? Somewhere in Rhode Island. Can't think where
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
But there's a third exit point. Maybe it's down
Yeah.
maybe it's in Connecticut. I'm not sure where it is.
No,
But
it's Rhode Island. I looked it up
is
the
it?
other day because I was like, what boat is he on?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember where it goes on Rhode Island, but yeah. Well, it just goes to show every boat goes to Martha's Vineyard, and that's all there is to it.
That's the only way to get there. I mean,
Yeah, right. So,
unless,
what's I going to ask you? Oh, well, you were talking. You said something that was kind of, I won't say it's a contradiction, but it was sort of contrary to what you've said in the past when you said that you're kind of amazing. Because in the past you've
because
pointed out
I'm
all the information.
humble. Because I'm humble.
But that I don't think that that's something that you really need to be humble about.
Okay, fine.
I think we all really need to learn how to be more. I don't want to say proud because that has a negative connotation to it. More confident about what we're amazing about. I think that's really important. That's
Okay,
kind
then
of,
I will say I am a mystical, magical unicorn that shines my
ooh.
bright light throughout the whole world to bless the world.
Oh, I love it! Yay, that's great. That's fabulous.
That's what I decided my purpose for being here is in this lifetime.
That's beautiful. I think that's great.
Share my
Yeah.
joy with the world and wisdom.
Yeah.
My 35 years of wisdom. But I notice, I feel like things come into my mind from past lives because I'm way wiser than I should be at this age.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you say that?
Just the advice that I give. Okay, so funny story. I was talking to my cousin and he was, asking me questions about, we were talking about relationships or something like that. And he's like, how do you know so much? And why are you such an expert? But you're like always single. I was like, 'cause coaches don't play.
Oh.
Oh no, I play. But I'm just saying.
I mean, that sounds just absolutely disastrous.
No, I mean, I'm an expert in the game, so I can see, what's going on, but I don't actually have to play the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. I can live with that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, all right. We know then that you have this, this hidden musical ability, because that has come out, and you have this ability to tap into, how'd you say it? You tap into past lives in order to give advice?
I feel like I do. Because I don't know, sometimes when I'm giving advice to people, I amaze myself. Like, I'm glad I'm not on camera most of the time because I'm just like, and I'll be sitting here in my room talking on the phone. And I'm like, girl, you need to da 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 da. And then I'm like, yes, go Alyx.
See, that's what I would call tapping into your inner Alyx. That's tapping into your inner being and just letting it flow.
I feel like it's inner though. She's out all the time.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, inner just means that it's the connection to the non-physical part of Alyx. That's all.
Okay. Then I agree.
Yeah. That's what the inner being part is all about. Because most people kind of associate that physically with being inside. That's, usually that's where we are more easily able to connect to our non-physical side. So, I mean, you can call it the outer Alyx if you want to. You just have to make sure people understand what you're talking about. That's all.
Yeah, 'cause you have the inner Walt, so I need like my own thing, but I feel like it has to be more magical, something more sparkly. My sparkle. That's what it is.
Okay. So
hashtag
what?
Hashtag do you sparkle?
Do you sparkle? Oh, okay. All right. Because if your sparkle is your inner you, it's not the Alyx sparkle. It's not sparkling Alyx. It's just your sparkle.
This is my sparkle, but it's the sparkle that like brightens up the world.
Ah, okay.
So it's
that
that's
sense.
Yeah.
Because that's source energy you're describing right there. Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes good sense. I like that. That's good. Interestingly enough, people just are listening to us with our little, meandering chatter here. Nobody has any questions. So.
This is totally fine.
Until we get questions, and we only have about 10 minutes left anyway, 15 minutes left, so unless people come up with questions, we'll just keep going with this. What do you think?
Works for me.
Well, actually, I do have a question for you.
I have an answer.
What do you see, let's put it this way, where do you want us to be in, say, 5 years with this series that we're working on? Or even not that far, maybe like 2 years, 2 to 3 years.
2 years. Well, let's see. I'm digging into my TV background for this, so I have to do a little math. Give me a minute.
I didn't realize it was such a difficult question, so
it is because I'm calculating episodes and I'm trying to decide if we will be at our 100th episode at that point. Because usually it takes 5 seasons to get to 100 episodes, but it also depends on how many episodes per season you're planning on doing.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly.
That's where the math comes in. So I say we should be at our 50th episode.
Easily.
In 2 years. Yeah.
But how about, experientially? Where are we at experientially in 2 or 3 years? Where do you see the story going is what I'm trying to ask. I'm
thinking Spotify's going to be calling us and they're going to be like, we want exclusive rights. And we're going to be like, well, you only have to bring their money.
Put up or shut up.
Yep. You don't have to come with it.
Absolutely.
And also I think it's going to be a good hit. I really do.
I think it has every chance because we're doing the right things.
Yes.
We're focused primarily on characters. I think that's the most
Yeah.
important thing of all.
Mm-hmm.
We want the plot line to work, and to work means to include hooks and what do you call it? Cliffhangers and crises and that kind of thing. Got to have that, But we also want to have growth of the characters that allows it to grow over time. So we have a very good chance. It really just comes down to one thing: does the initial storyline hook people? If it does, it's going to be a hit. If it doesn't, it's going to be a flop. And you never know in advance which it's going to be. That's the thing.
Well, the thing is, the one thing I'm concerned about is that people might not hang in there long enough to find out how it actually leads into law of attraction. So they're going to be like, well, what are these people doing? This is a law of attraction podcast. And it's like, but you see, you gotta stay in your seats, wait till after the commercial break, you'll figure it out. But it does get there. It does get there. It's all about growth. You don't just discover law of attraction, all of a sudden you start manifesting stuff in that day. I mean, technically you do, but you know what I mean? And, it's a process, it's a process you have to go through. It's a lifestyle change. So you gotta take baby steps, you gotta get there. We gotta grow with the character. Yeah,
that's true. It's very true. And I don't think it's actually going to be that big of an issue, to be honest, because it's like when you go to a movie or you turn on a TV series you've never seen before. If it hooks you in just because you're enjoying the storyline, there's the phrase, you suspend your disbelief.
Yes.
Because everybody knows it's fiction. Everybody knows it's not real. Those characters don't really exist. But if you're sucked into it, it doesn't really matter where it's going. You've been sucked in.
Well, I'm talking about our loyal fans that watch this show. Those are the people I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about the new people that are watching the show just for the grass is greener episodes. Those people I'm not worried about because they're here for the full ride.
Right. Yeah. They don't necessarily know anything about law of attraction, and that's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fine. You're right. Yeah, you're right. It's possible that our loyal listeners might get a little bit turned off if we don't turn on the LOA gun, so to speak, pretty quickly.
Right.
But we're already writing that in. I mean, we already the first story has a main theme already emerging. It has a few of them actually, but one of them is Nance being attracted to and attracting married men repeatedly.
Yep, that's true.
So it's right there. And the part that I was telling you about that I want to write as you're rewriting the ending is where I'm going to start setting up Lana to be displaying the exact same behaviors that Nance has. Because that's where she's learning the role model thing from. So, again, that's law of attraction from two perspectives. It's law of attraction from Nance's perspective because now her daughter's picking up the same thought patterns she's picking up on. We get lots of people asking about, well, can I attract for somebody else? Can I influence somebody else? Can I help somebody else to be a law of attractor, deliberate creator? And there's an example of it. It's just not in the direction that anybody would want to. So she's attracting for her daughter, or she's helping to influence her daughter to attract the wrong stuff because that's what she's always doing. Yeah. So there's a law of attraction thing going on there as well. All the clients that she has so far that we've, not there are all that many, we've actually met one client on the phone, but the client on the phone has the exact same approach to dealing with people that she has. He's a flirt.
Yep.
So there's a number of different LOA themes going on there, and those are just a few that come to mind. I think there are a few others as well. It's really going to be just how much do we develop them, and do we keep extracting? Yep, this is an LOA theme. Here's another LOA theme. Do you notice this LOA theme? Here's another one. Here's another one.
Right. It's like, can you see the pattern?
That's the beauty of doing a series, because in real life, most of the time we can't even see the pattern. Most of the time we can't even associate stuff. If we can find a thread, like, oh, here's a thread, A led to B led to C. Wow, that's so cool. That's what I get so excited about it. But most of the time we can't see it. But in a series, we can show it all the time.
Exactly.
And that's why we ask people to suspend their disbelief, because they know in real life that you don't get that all the time.
Nope, you don't. You don't. Not till later in life, and then you look back on your life and you're like, oh.
Now it makes sense.
And that's why hindsight is 2020.
That's what was going on? Oh, jeez. Well,
I said to my cousin last night, we were talking about old times, and I was like, man, if we knew then what we know now,
Well, here's an
life would have
interesting
been
question.
totally different.
Would you have lived life differently if you knew?
There'd be a couple of things I would have done differently, but basically, no, I would do everything exactly the same.
And isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Because that's not what you would normally have thought, right? Normally you would have thought that, oh, if I had known I could have avoided all that, I would have gone this route instead.
No, because all those little things made me the amazing person I am today.
Exactly.
So why would you want to change anything?
But there's a part of me that gets pissed off about that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a part of me that recognizes that it isn't that it's inevitable, it's that it's preferred.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I get pissed off that I preferred it. Like, really? Did I have to put myself through that? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, most of it's all good. It's mostly good stuff.
It's all gravy in the Navy, man.
Gravy in the Navy. Now, I haven't heard that one. Okay.
Yeah, I come up with some stuff, let me tell you. That's why I was, when you were asking me.
You can pull the wool over my eyes anytime you want to, because I don't know what cliches millennials use. So you could tell me it's a millennial cliche. I'll say,
no,
okay,
these are,
sure.
I don't think people use what I use. I swear, like the stuff I come up with, my mother just shakes her head because she's like, I don't know where you came from. I really don't. I was like, well, your DNA, so I'm just saying, I don't know.
That's where I get to use my favorite phrase. Who are you and what have you done with my daughter?
Yep. What was I saying the other day? Oh no, I was thinking about you because when you wrote me that email and asked me what are Nance's, PG-13 ways of swearing. And I was like, oh, that's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, I love it.
I have so many, because like when I'm out in public, I don't swear. And unless I'm like home talking to a friend that I've known for years and years and years, like I really don't swear. So I've over the years, I have had substitutes. So I was like, oh my God, I'm loving this assignment right now. I had to like actually dial it back. I was like, okay, he's not going to need a whole paragraph, is he? Like,
no, not really.
I was like,
but
no,
you gave me a good selection.
Like 4. Yeah.
I mean, that was a good list. And I love the one that I love the fact that you used fantastic, because I realize that's one that works both directions.
Exactly.
It can be really fantastic or it can be sarcastic, fantastic, and both work.
Yes, yes.
And that, for me, that really fit Nance a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like I wrote to you in my email today, her social skills are that of a 15-year-old.
Yes.
And her emotional development is that of a 6 to 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of personality has to be very simple. Yes. It has to be a very simple personality. Not that the person's simple-minded. It's just that their ways of expressing things have to be very, very simple, because that's because limited development.
She's stunted because she married straight out of high school. So she emotionally and relationship-wise, she hasn't dated around and got to know what it's like to be in real relationships and deal with heartbreak and all that other stuff, because she was only with one guy for however many years and then just started dating all these wrong guys. Like, there's a pattern.
There is a definite pattern. And I imagine that she married out of high school because her own parents' relationship was also dysfunctional. I mean, we've outlined that her father had multiple affairs. Mm-hmm. And we didn't really say how her mother reacted to it, but I gathered that the reaction was to kind of put up and shut up.
Yep.
Just not to complain, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the relationship itself was basically completely undermined. But you put on a nice show for the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So that became Nance's role model.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we could probably even infer that her parents probably married when they came out of high school. They were probably high school sweethearts or something.
Most likely. Yeah, most likely.
They probably married young, and they had this. I mean, these kind of things carry on from generation to generation, so it's probably been going on for multiple generations.
And this also touches on a pet peeve of mine of people in relationships, or marriages, who stay together for the children. You're not doing the children any good by doing that. You're actually damaging them in the long run. And my cousin is a great example of that because his parents stayed together until he graduated high school, a little later in life, actually, till that he was like 20. And when they finally divorced, he couldn't handle it. He was like, he wouldn't speak to whoever they were dating. He wouldn't acknowledge them. Like he was very, very stunted. But that was because they hid the whole thing, so they surprised him with it. So it was like, my parents' marriage is perfect for 20 years and now they're just separating. What the heck is going on? So emotionally, he was not ready. He was not ready. So it's never a good thing to stay together for the kids. You end up doing more damage because you're, especially if you're fighting in front of the children. It's just like when my parents got divorced, I was like, oh, it's about time. Let's get these double Christmases together. Let's work it out. Like, I heard we get more presents. I heard there's going to be new people. This is going to be fantastic. I'm all about it. But again, I was 13, 14. So, and my parents didn't hide their problems from us. So it was totally, we grew up in two different households. So we had two different results. So great examples of both sides.
Yeah, well, there's an old cliche that I think comes from my generation. I don't know if it's still, maybe it's part of yours too. The idea, it's better to come from a broken home than to live in one. And that's kind of the idea that, if you're dealing with living in a home where your parents are fighting all the time, that's just making a miserable home life. But it doesn't have to be just about fighting all the time. It can also be living a shallow relationship all the time. And that's probably even worse. I mean, that's kind of like what went on with your cousin, because your cousin saw a false relationship. It wasn't the real thing. And so, in addition to him getting broken up about, the fact that his parents broke up when he was 20, I'll bet you it also affects his personal relationships, both intimate relationships and friend relationships.
Oh, it definitely did.
Because he has only a shallow understanding of what a relationship is. Yeah. That creates all kinds of problems that you can hardly even foresee because there's so many different ways that can just kind of fall apart because all you know how to do is the surface version. Yeah.
It messed him up. It definitely messed him up. Like, he didn't know how to be in a loyal relationship. Like, every relationship he was in, he always had other options in his relationship. And I'm like saying, that's not good. That's not good.
And there's a theme right there that we could actually tie into the series because we have one early active character who kind of gets pushed out the door and a prior character who's referred to that we never actually see or hear from. Both of them are players. They're male players. And I'm willing to bet a male player is someone who is reenacting his own parents' shallow relationship.
Most likely.
That's the way you described. He doesn't really know how to make a relationship work. But he does know how to come on to somebody. So he just keeps coming on to people over and over again because that's what he knows how to do.
Yeah. And he likes that feeling that he gets of the attention. So he keeps as many people in his pocket as he can so he can have all that attention throughout the day.
Because from his perspective, that's all there is.
Yes.
There's no such thing as a deep relationship. He has no experience with it. So, I mean, how can you possibly want something you don't even know what it is?
And that goes back to Nance too, which is why she thinks flirting is the whole entire epitome of a relationship.
Exactly.
Because once that warm feeling of I want you goes away, what else is there? And that's what she needs to learn.
That's it. Yeah. I don't know what the word is, but in a sense, Nance is the mirror opposite of a player because they're both responding to the same thing. They're just responding in different ways. And that, but I don't know what the term would be. Well, something to think about. Anyway, with that thought in mind, that cheery thought, we're actually at our time. But thank you for being a last minute step in because that was
no problem. Any day, any time.
I figure we've given our listeners some more teases about what's coming up with this episode. By the time we get this episode together, our loyal listeners are going to want to hear it. They may not like it, but they're going to want to hear it. They've heard so many teasers on it. It's going to be good stuff. Anyway, thank you very much. Thanks to our live stream listeners. Thank you also to our podcast listeners, because that's where the vast majority of our listeners are. We really love you very much. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.